Hi there, I'm Fraylin, and I'm going to share with you my recommended interface layout and bindings for use with a keyboard and mouse in Final Fantasy XIV. The thinking behind this layout is to keep relevant timers and enemy attack information in the center while your hotbars are off to the side. This also allows your character to stay visible when zoomed in instead of being covered up by a bunch of buttons. I've also included some extra hotbars on the side that you can access by this little macro right here. And a persistent universal bar at the bottom for actions such as mount, limit break, and you can see these, two macros are the ones that I use to toggle these bars, and I also have this kind of adventure mode where you can get rid of your combat bars so you can chill without it in the way. But let's talk about the bindings themselves. So if we come down here, you can see we're using a visual binding method. We're trying to emulate the keyboard as much as possible, leaving space for WASD. But you can see if I press Q, you can see it there, X, C, V, all the way to B, which I'm now casting on a nearby dodo. But yeah, it's actually really easy to use because you can kind of look down at the arrow keys, which I've placed there just for convenience. You'd have to place them yourself as well. I'm not sure if they'd show up on whatever job you're playing. But it gives you kind of a quick reference of where you're sitting with your fingers so you can understand where the buttons are in relation to them. Now, the left side is all the raw keys, so Q, E, R, T, numbers across the top, whereas the right side is all of those keys with shift added. And I just added a bunch of placeholder tiles here since I don't have all the actions on this alt account. But these are kind of all the available keys. You can of course move stuff around, but these raw, these are shift. And then down here, these are raw keys with control, and they're just the bottom row, so ZXCVB. And then this is the same bottom row as well, but with shift added, so control shift. So you can do control Z quickly to mount, control X to do limit break, control shift C to hide your combat bars, etc. Now, how are we going to access shift? Obviously, it's pretty easy on a keyboard. You can just do shift for a lot of these things, but sometimes some of the keys are kind of harder to hit, like shift 5. Or shift F4 might be kind of difficult. So if you have gaming mouse with software that can rebind some of the keys, it's probably a good idea to bind this back button to be shift. So then it just allows your hand to move across the keyboard a lot easier. I've currently bound this forward one to target cycling, and middle mouse is auto run. So those are some easy things you can do to kind of just get a little bit easier on the keyboard. And so how do we get this profile kind of installed? Well, if you download my files from the description in this video, you'll get a package that looks kind of like this. And you're going to have these two files here, configuration and macro. Copy both of these, and then go to your Documents, My Games, Final Fantasy folder and just paste them straight into this major folder, replacing these two files. And then we have to figure out which character is your character. If you only have one character, that'll be easy. It'll just be a folder that looks like this, and you can go into it. Otherwise, if you have multiple, log into them, or log into the one you want to use, log out. It will show the date as the most recent one that was modified, and then you'll know which one you want to go into. Then you can come into My Files, go into the Character Data files, grab all of these, and then paste them into this character folder. And then when you boot the game back up, it'll be all ready to go, and you will be looking something like this. And if you're on a screen that's larger than 1920 by 1080, you may need to come down here and click HUD layout and sort of adjust the placement of the various items. They might have gotten stretched out, but you just kind of push them back together and drag them around. You'll likely have to grab your job gauges and put them into this little slot. You may even need to make sure they're not on simple mode and make sure they're in the full mode, unless you prefer simple mode. But other than that, I hope you enjoy the profile and have fun adventuring. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.